Well, hi everyone. I'm just going to get it started. I think we're ready to roll.
Right
Uh,
on.
Thank you so much for joining us for SLM Live, a virtual event series hosted by St. Louis Magazine. I'm Amanda Woytus, and I'm the magazine's deputy editor. And I am talking tonight. I'm so excited with the magical Justin Willman. People can actually say that about you,
You can say that.
and it's that
You
yeah.
can say that. You know, my wife says it sarcastically, like, "Oh, listen, look at my magical husband over here," and I deserve it sometimes.
So, for our viewers who don't know, Justin is a magician and the star of Netflix's Magic for Humans. The third season of the show is now streaming online. You can check it out. And you are also the creator of I love this, it's a social distancing magician starter kit. And it's
Yes,
10 tricks that people can learn while, we're all spending a lot of time at home. And you are donating some proceeds to COVID-19. It's right there.
I got it right here. I literally was like, "Oh, geez, I hope I have one nearby," and I do. Yeah, early on in quarantine, really a lot of great kits out there. So I made a magic kit to raise money for COVID relief charities. It's actually 10 of my favorite tricks that I used to do when I was a kid. So kids or adults, I have a lot of adults who've been getting this because they're like, listen, I'm 50, but I always wanted to learn magic. So it's been fun. And those are on my website. You can get them at justinwillman.com.
Yeah, and you are also, I should mention, you're from St. Louis, as we have touched upon. You went to Ladue, and you
Mhm.
are joining us here very soon again, August 21st, for a show at the Pageant.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Fingers crossed. I can't wait to come back to the pageant. And the show was supposed to happen in May
Right.
last month, and obviously didn't. But yeah, I can't wait to get back on stage. Like I'm a live performer. It's in my blood. So I do miss kind of this is fun doing it via Zoom, but I can't wait to get back on stage, especially in St. Louis, just to kind of, there's kind of like a little bit of with the hometown crowd. It's kind of like, all right, I gotta make you guys proud of me. I gotta kind of work extra hard than if I was in some random city. I gotta really bring it to make
That's,
sure they know that I'm not just some dingus coming through. This guy's, he's all right. He's worthy. He's worthy of being a St. Louisan.
have you performed at the pageant before?
I have done the pageant, I think, twice over the past 5 to 7 years or so,
Well,
which is
maybe,
very cool and surreal because I loved going to the pageant. Like
yeah.
it's one of those cool places.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should kick off with talking about the live show. What can people expect if they go to the pageant's website and grab a ticket for that show in August?
I always tell people it's kind of like, if you've seen Magic for Humans on Netflix and you're watching it and you're like, man, I'm a little skeptical. Like I need to be there, because
Yeah.
listen, we're from Missouri, the show me state. And I remember from a very young age being told, hey, you're a Missourian. You don't believe it till they show you. And I'm like, okay, so I get when I'm watching something on TV, I need to see it in person. So I often tell people it's kind of like Magic for Humans live, and that's why it's called the Magic in Real Life Tour. So it's a comedy, it's like a half comedy show, half magic show. It's very rapid fire. I have a short attention span, so I made a show that is as fast paced as a show that I would want to watch. So it's kind of got a bunch of crazy magic stuff from the show, stuff you haven't seen, mind reading, a lot of audience participation, stand up, improv. It's definitely the kind of thing where you leave and you kind of feel like, oh my God, what just happened? And you're going to probably, hopefully for a couple days, like piece your brain back together. That's the best.
Yeah.
But what I love about live shows is where I'm up there and I'm doing magic, and you kind of like when it's a live environment, people, and this doesn't happen obviously when you watch magic on TV because you might be alone and you're like, wait, what?
Right.
Crazy? Am I dumb? How is this happening? But in the live show, people kind of look left. They're like, huh. And they look left to make sure that everyone else is also amazed. Like, you saw what I saw? You did too? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy. And it's a fun, I don't know, it's like a community building experiment in a way.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And that's like what I really love about the show too, is you're doing, the magic is jaw drop. Like I will like scroll back a little bit and try to figure out how you're
Uh-huh.
doing this. And I
I
know
knew you were I knew you're that kind of person. That's why I had to make it
journalist.
so slow-mo proof, which
Yeah.
is hard these days.
But I also just for anyone who hasn't seen the show, you're doing sort of like man on the street, kind of approaching people in public and doing these insane tricks. And you're such a charismatic performer, such a funny show and fun show. And just, if anyone's curious, I definitely recommend it to watch during 2020. It's just given me sort of a lift. What's the show's origin story? Like, how did you dream this up?
Mm. It's funny. I've been, I moved to LA in 2002. So I've been out here for a while. And I think, you come to LA and you're kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and anything's possible. And then you kind of get rejected a lot. And, and for me, like, I want to have a magic show, a magic special, this, and I would kind of pitch ideas and kind of try to hustle and kind of get shut down time and time again. And I think that was in my best interest, because there was really a magic secret recipe about the timing of not getting an opportunity until you're ready for it. And I think what I learned and what makes Magic for Humans, I think, resonate with people is that it's a show about real life stuff. And I think the best story that anyone can tell, if you're a storyteller, is your own experience. And I just think I didn't really have anything too interesting to talk about and riff about when I kind of just didn't have the life experience under my belt, and I'm 39 now. I have, I'm married, I have a kid. It's not like I don't know that much, but I've done some things now, and I have, like life frustrations and excitements and curiosity and things that I think people can relate to. And I think what's fun about the show is that it's a little bit of a Trojan horse in that, on its face, oh, it's a funny magic show. I like funny shows. I like magic shows. I'll watch this show. And once you're in there, I think, and this is, I think, the disarming nature of magic, is that people's guard goes down and you can actually sneak in a little real life kind of discussion or experimentation or exploration about the human condition, love, self-care, self-control, guilt, fear of technology, whatever, all these things that we all kind of think about. It's kind of a nice little Trojan horse into having a little bit of a real talk, obviously not take itself too seriously, but, and I didn't know that this is what the show would be. Even when we pitched the show, I think, to Netflix, it was in the right place at the right time. It was their first magic show. They liked the idea of a show just kind of maybe being funny and magic and some social commentary. And that's about it. It was just like a really good meeting. And then after that, we got to figure out what the show was without being under the gun, without all this pressure on us. And I don't know, very lucky that I put together a really great team of some of my favorite, smartest magician friends and a bunch of funny people to just create a show that I think hits on different levels. So
that's so cool. And I love,
very lucky.
like you said, I love how each episode sort of has a theme and you're sort of creating tricks around that theme and talking to people. And I also just love watching people's reactions. Do you have any favorite memories of filming the show and kind of like just meeting all of these people?
Man, it's wild, because I often say it's kind of like you're out in the world fishing, because you don't know, you can see somebody on the street and you're like, hey, see if they want to be on the show, and just because maybe they have a look or whatever, but you just don't know what's under the surface with somebody about really like how they'll react to magic, because they will switch, their veneer will drop, like their guard will go down. And some people that you think are going to be like really incredible aren't, because they're maybe self-conscious about the cameras and whatnot. And some people who just seem normal and mild-mannered and maybe like, oh, this will be boring, end up being the best. So what I'm always amazed by is just how you can never judge a book by its cover. And I think what I love seeing is that the show, because magic is kind of this universal language, it always reminds me time and time again that humans, like all of us, we're all the same. Like we kind of like to build these labels to help differentiate us from others, or you believe this, I believe that, we're on different pages. But, I didn't want to make a show that was divisive or, political, or just, we have plenty to argue about, and there's plenty of shows that do insightful us versus them. I wanted to do a show that hopefully just reminds us that we're all in this together, and magic is about making people happy. So that's my biggest takeaway, is just being reminded that people are awesome. You know what I mean? And that when you put people in a good mood with magic, they makes their day better. They then hopefully go off and treat their friends and family better. Hopefully it puts people in a good mood when they watch the show, and then they kind of like want to share, good things. And so in a little way, it's just my, my selfish quest to make the world a little nicer to one another. But yeah, I love people's reactions to magic. To me, that's the most fun, is just like doing a trick or something impossible to someone right there on the spot, and then just shutting up and getting out of the way so that I and the viewers through the camera can just watch how they react. And I feel like that person becomes the avatar for the viewer, because, you watch and you're like, what would I do if that magician did that to my phone or whatever, and you're kind of thinking, so it kind of becomes a little bit of a study of human nature.
That's super interesting. I love thinking about how, one person is reacting that you can kind of see there while you're filming,
Mm-hmm.
but then, just thinking about all of the people who are watching this on Netflix and how they must be reacting. It's super cool.
Yeah, and I do try to keep that in mind sometimes, where I'm like, I try to watch and I try to have the inner monologue of a skeptical viewer. And sometimes it's like, something amazing will happen and I'll be like, okay, if I was watching this, I'd want to see the other side of their hand, or I'd want to show me the other side of the phone. You know what I mean? So I'll be like, turn it around, show me the other side, hold it close, and I'm just trying to think. It's sometimes impossible to predict, but you try to, in the moment, try to think like the viewer would think, because they want to have everything, the viewer wants to be amazed. They want to see something amazing. They want to see somebody react like they would react. And I don't know, just kind of, it's like a weird little emotional math equation that when it all works out feels good to watch.
Yeah. So let's backtrack a little bit. I have sort of read the story of how you got started in magic, but I would
Yes.
love for you to tell our viewers, because if I am correct, it kind of happened accidentally.
Literally, it
Yeah.
happened by accident. So this was listen, at the time I didn't think this would be a day I would remember in a positive way forever. So I think I was a 6th or 7th grader at Ladue Junior High School. I lived off Spady Road in Creve Coeur. I was just I was a little scrub of a dude. Okay. And I was not like too comfortable in my own skin. So I was trying to come up with some sort of fun, stupid way to either impress people or be the center of attention, or just not have to like talk to you and say funny things. So one day I was riding my bike while wearing rollerblades. This was, I hadn't researched this. I didn't know that this was a good or a bad idea. I just thought, I think what happened was I was rollerblading. My friends came over. Hey, Justin, and they're on bikes. Hey, you want to go bike with us? And I'm like, sure, no problem. I don't have my shoes, but I'll just hop on a bike too. So I'm
No time
bike
to
blading. Anyway, going down a hill near Spady Road, fell off, broke both of my arms at the same time. Was in the hospital, went to Children's Hospital, had to stay there for a few nights because there was some surgery involved. This magician would come by Children's Hospital. His name was Dr. Magic. His real name was Jerry Hughes, not a real doctor, but he went by Dr. Magic. He was Santa Claus in the wintertime, but he looked like Santa Claus all year round. He would kind of come do a little magic show. And I kind of just remember, like, I don't think I'd seen magic for a while at that age, perking up to it. And my doctor recommended one day, hey, maybe you learn magic as a physical therapy, card tricks. That's how you'll get your dexterity back. And I've been doing it ever since then. My parents got me a bunch of magic kits. I kind of became obsessed. And now I'm talking to you about that day.
Do
Yeah.
you remember the moment where you just sort of like nailed your first trick? Like, does it take a while?
Yeah. I think I took magic lessons at Gibbles, which was a adult novelty, like a bachelorette party supplies novelty store. And they had a magic counter and they were down on the landing. And I took magic lessons there once a week. You had to bring a parent with you if you're under 18 because of all the, bachelorette straws and, what hats and stuff. And I think I learned the vanishing Saltshaker trick, which is a classic beginner trick, but still a really, really good trick. And I remember practicing enough to do it at the dinner table for my dad. And I just remember him being like, wait, what? Like, and this was the first time I think that me, a little 13-year-old kid was able to do something that amazed my dad that he didn't understand. Because he's, your parents and your teachers are the ones who are telling you everything about how the world works. When do you know something they don't know? Well, all of a sudden with magic, I knew something that they didn't know. And it was like a very empowering, paradigm shift for me. And I think I was hooked. It was like an endorphin rush.
I love thinking about, I don't know if this doctor recommended that like other patients learn card tricks, but it's just so serendipitous that he almost
Yeah.
prescribed that to you and now this is what you're doing.
I know we don't hear about all the malpractice suits that came out of him recommending other patients.
As
Yeah,
long as
it's
you don't
it's
have,
funny. It's like weird. It's like that little silver lining. You know, you
yeah.
never know what kind of, a nudge that you give someone in one direction. You never know kind of how it might change their life. So thank you, doctor, for the potentially uh, malpractice advice.
And I read that your mom gave you a really sweet stage name. You would go and perform, right? Around St.
Yeah.
Louis.
So pretty soon after I like would take those magic lessons, I put together an act. I had 30 minutes of decent magic tricks and bad jokes, and then a tuxedo and a bow tie. My mom was like, you should. And I was like, I want to do some shows. So kids' birthday parties is kind of where you market yourself. She's
Yeah.
like, you can't go by Justin Willman. No one will ever remember Justin Willman. People are going to think it's Justin Williams. You need a stage name. Everybody has a stage name. So she gave me the stage name of Justin Credible because it's a good pun, and my mom was clever. I didn't even get it at first. I was like, don't you mean incredible? She goes, no, she goes, just incredible. And I was like, oh, my mom's very clever. So yeah, I went, and I thought maybe I'll be just incredible for a couple years and then I'll outgrow it by high school or whatever. I was just incredible till I was 30. And then I shed that skin. But yeah, my parents were always very supportive of the magic. I think for the most part, like that's, I don't know, a lot of my Midwestern and St. Louis friends, like it feels like parents are they want you to have, my parents wanted me to go to college for something, real, you can't major in magic, but they were very supportive of just this off the beaten path kind of endeavor of mine. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of feels like the St. Louis thing to do. Like, yeah, of course you're going to encourage your kid to be a magician or whatever weird thing they might want to do.
So would you say that, purchasing the magician starter kit might be a way if, kids are at home this summer, a lot of camps are closed here. Maybe your kid wants to pick up a quarantine hobby and maybe that's magic. If they purchase the kit, what tricks are included in it? Can you disclose?
Oh, I can disclose. There's some good ones.
Oh,
I
good.
mean, in the kit, and again, it's for kids, not just for kids, but this is one of the best tricks. I did this trick in my kids' birthday parties for years, so I just love it. It's a coloring book here, right? It's just a coloring book, Amanda. But if you just make your hand a paintbrush and just throw some color at the book, go for it. Right now, just yeah, perfect. See what happens is the pages color themselves. I mean, that's fun. Right out of the box, you're blowing minds. This trick, can't tell you what it does because you'll have to see it in person, but that's an amazing trick. There's some good mind reading tricks. I mean, we all love a good rope trick where it gets cut into two pieces, but then it restores. That's fun. I think the best part, by the way, and I had fun doing this, is that instead of having to read instructions, because I know when I was a kid, there's no greater buzzkill than having to read instructions just on fine print. And they're probably, with magic kits, they're often written in English, then translated into Chinese, and then translated back to English, and then to French and to English, and they don't make sense. So because I don't like, I don't like reading, I shot all the instructional video during quarantine at the beginning of the quarantine. So I teach you all the tricks step by step. So you kind of crack open the laptop and you've got a secret website URL, and I basically teach you all the tricks and yammer on and on about silly jokes you can do and tell you the story behind them. So it's like we're hanging out. It's like we're in quarantine together, learning magic. And I always think back when I had my broken arms that I kind of was socially distanced. I had to take like 2 months off from school, and they would bring the schoolwork home. So magic's a good way to pass that time.
That's awesome. Okay, let's do some fun questions.
Fun.
Okay. If you could have another St. Louis celebrity on Magic for Humans, I'm thinking Hamm, I'm thinking the other John Goodman, um, Ellie Kemper. Who am I missing? Who would you have?
St. Louis. I mean, I have done magic with Nelly. I used to do his black and white ball every year.
Oh my gosh.
Very fun, blowing his mind. That's fun. Nikki Glazer is a friend of mine. She's hilarious. She really gets a kick out of some of the weird, more twisted magic tricks that we do in Magic for Humans. I got to say, though, I feel like doing magic with John Hamm would be really fun because I've never met John Hamm. He seems like the nicest man in the world. And in season 2 of Magic for Humans, I had a segment called Sleight of Ham, where I did magic tricks with slices of ham. And I'd love to follow that up with Sleight of Ham again, but this time with John Hamm. I think the people want it. So I'm putting that out there into the universe. John Hamm, come to me. Let's do some magic together. We'll make our hometown very happy, I hope. Or at least we don't have to film it.
Yeah, people would lose their minds here.
Yeah.
That happened. Well, speaking of celebrities, you have performed on, The Ellen Show, Jimmy Fallon, but I read that you performed at the White House for President Obama. What was that experience like?
That was scary. That was very intimidating. I'd never been more nervous in my life. I was asked to do a show for the White House's Halloween party. So it was kind of a function they do every year for military families. So it really felt good but everyone was in a costume because it's a Halloween party. So I wasn't expecting that. I'm showing up. So everyone's in a costume. The fact that everyone was dressed up and all the kids were all dressed up kind of took the edge off because it just made it feel like, it makes it feel like you're not at the White House. You're just doing a holiday party, maybe a Halloween party, just like I used to do at the City Museum, or I used to do Halloween parties at the St. Louis Zoo or in Soulard, so it kind of felt very at home. However, the only person who was not in a costume was President Obama. He was dressed as Obama in a fleece. Okay, so he was casual Obama. So as soon as he walked in the room, it was like, okay, no, this is the White House. I was very, very nervous. He was hilarious. It was a very surreal, awesome experience. And I don't think I would actually believe that it happened if I didn't have a photo of it that day. So I do look at that occasionally and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, I feel like you can't really top that. Like that's pretty epic.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and I'm not just pandering to St. Louis, my biggest goal I think I set this goal when I was like maybe a freshman or sophomore in high school, was to one day perform at the Fox. The Fox Theater was where I saw David Copperfield. It's where I saw Harry Blackstone Jr. It's where I saw all the shows. It's still in my mind. It's just like the biggest, most beautiful theater I've ever seen. So that's kind of my bucket list one day, is to headline the Fox. I do love doing shows at the Pageant. No offense, Pageant. But one day the Fox, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I feel like we've put that energy out there now. So we're definitely going to get
John Hamm and the Fox.
Maybe
John Hamm at the Fox.
Right? Yeah, I think we can do this.
Okay.
Okay, we mentioned the Fox. What else should we...
I'll tell you, by the way, you asked me about the first trick I ever mastered. And the Saltshaker Trick was one of the first, but this was, I think, truly the first. The silver orb, where it just floats.
Crazy.
Whoa. Yeah, and it's just a soup ladle in my watch. That's all you need to know. So that's a gift from my St. Louis friends.
It's perfect.
Shove a ladle up your watch or in your sleeve, and you can aim it. This is a way to spice up your boring work Zoom meetings.
You have to try that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have a young son. Do you do magic for him? That seems like a really good parenting hack, like baby milk and eggs.
Yeah, you'd think changing diapers with magic, or making baby nap for 12 hours with magic. None of that works. He's a year and a half. Magic does not apply to him yet. He does not. He's not amazed by tricks. He likes busting me on the tricks. He likes revealing the secrets. He's very funny. I think he has a career in comedy. He hasn't shown me that he's got the magic chops yet, but he has the straight man kind of Jack Benny look that I think could go a long way.
That's so great. I'm going to dip into our chat function.
Yeah.
And see if we have any questions from the audience. Christine writes, could you tell us what your favorite magic trick is?
My favorite magic trick, Christine. Well, I could show you. I mean, yeah. Why describe a trick when you can show a trick? So, and Amanda, you can attest, we didn't set anything up, correct?
No, we didn't. I think everyone saw us kind of
floundering. So deck of cards here, okay? Deck of cards. Before we started the interview, I kind of sat here quietly for a second, and I just kind of waited for my gut to just spout out a card. This happened quietly, just to myself. It told me a card. It was like, and before we turned the video on, I turned one card over in the deck. So one card is facing the wrong way in this deck. You don't know what it is. You don't think you know what it is, but you do know what it is if you listen to your gut. So I'm gonna say in a moment, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, name a card, and you'll name any one of the random cards.
Okay.
You can say Ace of Spades, although that's very common. Queen of Hearts is also very common. You can go as random as you want or as non-random as you want. Name a card. 1, 2, 3.
King of Hearts.
Great. Now, is that a favorite card of yours? You didn't even know you would say that card before I put you on the spot? Okay. So check this out. Inside the deck, as I promised, one card facing the opposite direction. You could have said any card. You said
King of Hearts.
There's the King of Hearts.
Nuts.
I love this trick. I do this a lot. I carry a deck of cards. I love doing that trick, especially when it works. Now, it doesn't work every time. That's one of the first times it's worked, Amanda. I think we just have a good vibe. You know, and what's fun is doing magic over Zoom, you know, and I know we've got a bunch of St. Louis friends watching this. I'm going to try to do something here over Zoom for everyone watching, okay? So I've got a little 5-card poker hand. Everyone watching, just think of one card, okay? Lock it in your mind. Don't forget it. Remember the letter and the design. If it's a club, heart, diamond, or spade. You can do this in your head too, Amanda. Everybody think of one card. Don't forget it, okay? I'm going to try to read your mind and figure out what card it is in fact, instead of figuring out the card you're thinking of, I'm just going to make the card you're thinking of disappear. So now, instead of 5 cards, I have 4 cards, and your card is gone.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Only works on St. Louisans. It's weird. I don't know how it works. It's just a weird thing. So that's fun.
Everyone.
Are the comments blowing up? The comments are blowing up.
Yes. Here's a fun question that I would actually like to know the answer to. In Magic for Susans, that's like one of my favorite segments. It's so cute. Are they all really named Susan?
All real Susans, 100%.
So do you go around like asking, is your name Susan?
We occasionally will just run into a Susan by chance, but because that segment, and I don't know why people are always like, why Susan? Like there's some deeper meaning. And we just thought it'd be funny just to do magic for only people named Susan. I don't know why we thought that'd be funny. Turns out it was, because Susans are a very unique yet consistent type of personality. You know, Susans like to pay with a check. They talk to the manager. They're hard to impress with magic. And but to find Susans with some sort of quantity, we actually put little ads on Craigslist. Hey, is your name Susan, or do you know a Susan? Do you want to make $20 and get free lunch? We don't tell them what it's for. And most of them are so curious as to why the hell somebody wants to talk to Susan so bad that they do it. And that's how we get Susans.
Do you think you'll ever film in St. Louis? And what do you think that audience would be like?
I would love to film in St. Louis. Yeah. I would love to, for kind of the reasons I said, that I feel like there's that kind of the show me state mentality, but I feel like just growing up, like I think the fact that I came up in St. Louis, which is a town that had a lot of magic clubs, and I think had just a lot of affinity for magic. It was a very supportive place for me. I feel like, and St. Louis is full of some interesting characters. And I feel like magic, like I said, reveals people's true innate selves. I would love to come back to St. Louis. I'd love to go back to my high school and do a show, like on the stage that my first show ever was actually in my junior high school 7th grade talent show. That was my first big public experience. And looking back at the tape, it didn't go well. Like it was very awkward. I wasn't even talking into the microphone, so you couldn't hear me. I was wearing a tuxedo. I made a parakeet appear. I could hear people laughing at me in the tape. I think listen, a lot of times people, when they have like a traumatic experience, they know it's traumatic at the time. And for some reason, and maybe this is just because I had some healthy denial, I thought it went great at the time. And I was like, I was great. I'm going to be a magician now. I'm going to stick to it. Watching the tape back, like if I'd watched that tape back the next day, I would have been like, oh, they're laughing at me. I need to just, hang my tuxedo up and hang up my parakeet and set it free and move on to something else. Good thing I didn't do that, I hope.
Did you do more talent shows throughout middle school and high school?
I did.
Yeah.
I think I did talent show again in 8th grade. In high school, I did my talent show where I did a dove act. I would make doves appear, and my girlfriend at the time would put the doves on a perch, and it was pretty. I think that was. I haven't watched that tape back. Maybe I shouldn't.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know, are you working on any new tricks? What's your quarantine schedule been like? Have you?
You know, I'm always so yeah. I think at first when quarantine started, I was like, I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to write a bunch of new material, come up with tricks. And then like, there's just, to everyone out there watching who's quarantined and has a child, like there's no time to do anything. Like these childless people who are complaining about the fact they've binged everything and they're bored, like they need to have a glass of water thrown in their face. Okay. Because there's just not enough time in the day. So when I am able to steal away an hour or two, I love working on things. In fact, I'll show you, because there is a lot of creativity, I think, that comes from, challenge and, the fact that you're stuck in your house with just the things in your house. What can you come up with? So, kind of, we wear masks when we're out to, protect ourselves and others. And I only recently got a haircut. I had my lady come cut my hair in the front yard. So I had this long curly hair that would build up some static electricity. So you kind of can take a mask and you rub it on your hair to build some static, put it into an empty water jug here. Just pop it all the way in there so you can see it, right? And you can actually just kind of the mask there we go. It builds up a little bit of static electricity and it starts dancing here. And there's no strings. I actually can cork it up. So this is like a fun trick that I don't think I ever would have had the inspiration to explore if it weren't for quarantine and whatnot. And I can just pop him back here.
That's nice.
That's fun. He'll stop on command too. Amanda, say stop.
Stop. Amazing.
Dance. So there's that. That's what I'm working on.
That's so crazy.
I don't know after quarantine and we're all back to real life. Hey, we're all back to real life. I don't know if we'll want to see a trick about a dancing mask, but we'll adapt it to something. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to create like a quarantine magic series for Netflix. Just you living life in LA, creating tricks, hanging out with your son.
Well, I did do a bunch of videos on my Instagram where it's quarantine magic lessons where I'm trying to teach him magic and he just busts every trick. He's the star of those. I am the foil. I'm the punchline every time. So you can check those out on my Instagram at Justin Willman. My son Jackson is he's bullying me, I think, in the videos. Watching it back, I think I'm the butt of the joke.
So we're going to send all of those childless, bored people stuck in quarantine over to there. We're going to tell them that they can watch all 3 seasons of Magic for Humans on Netflix. They can get the social distancing magician starter kit at justinwillman.com. Again, that's benefiting COVID-19 relief.
Yep.
Great cause. And we're going to hope to see you at the pageant on August 21st. I'm really excited. Got my fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I can't wait. Magic in real life. I think we all, hopefully, I know me, past couple months, I've really been realizing all the things that I take for granted just about the real life that we all used to live. And I think one of those things is just live entertainment, like obviously I'm a live performer, so I go to my own shows, but I realize, man, I really miss going to see the bands I love and going to see stand-up comedy and going to see plays and shows. And I feel like that's something I want to get more of in my life. So I can help you if you feel the same way.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, should we end it here? Thank you so much for joining us. I got to see Magic IRL over Zoom.
Yeah.
It's blown once again. It's just been so lovely talking to you. And
thank you, Amanda. This was so fun. Thank you, St. Louis. I love you guys. I can't wait to see you soon.
All right. Take care. We'll sign off there. Thanks everyone for joining us.